Stress is linked to almost every degenerative, aging, debilitating disease that mankind faces. From hypertension, depression, anxiety, ADHD, to cardiovascular disease and cancer. Being in nature lowers the physical markers of stress, and forest bathing in particular creates a strong sense of relaxation as well as mental clarity. It boosts the immune system while positively affecting our nervous system. It also helps with allergies because by the end of my session, my sinuses were draining all over the place. Today I'm going to talk about my personal experience with guided forest bathing. So if you want to know more, then just keep watching. While vacationing in Vancouver, I took a guided walk through a forest with certified forest bathing guides Rhonda and her husband Gary Murdoch of Pacific Adventure. Wait, let me make sure I get the name right. Their company is called Pacific Rainforest Adventure Tours, and they are one of the few forest bathing guides in British Columbia, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to go to Vancouver Island as well as experience this first thing. And indeed, the minute I got off the plane, I jumped in my rental car and drove to the forest where I met up with Gary and Rhonda. At the time I was pretty stressed because my plane had been delayed and there was a line at the rental and I was afraid I was going to be late. But the minute I saw both of them, the minute I met them, I knew that I was going to be okay. So I surrendered my tired, stressed, wounded soul to their care. So the way that it's set up, we would slowly walk for a few yards apart for an interval, at the end of which Rhonda, who actually was the guide for this, she would ring a little bell, and that would be a signal for us to come together again. So it was her in the lead, and then a few yards behind her was me, and then a few yards behind me was Gary. Each interval we were encouraged to look at the forest in a different way. For example, notice the smells of our surroundings, or the sight or the sounds. And then at the end of each interval we would take a moment to sort of really allow what we just experienced to internalize itself before we moved on to the next. The forest was very still that day, and smoke from the British Columbia fires had blocked out the sun and cast a gray tinged light. When the sun would break through, its light would, being reflected through the smoke, would cast a very warm, pinkish, reddish, orangish kind of glow. There was no wind and barely any movement. The only sound was the sort of occasional cawing of a bird flying by, or a crack somewhere in the woods of a branch or twig breaking. Perhaps the smoke, the harbinger of fire, had caused the forest creatures to scurry away to seek shelter. Regardless, it was a very, very still and quiet day. Giant fir trees dominated the forest, and Rhonda had told us that me, that's the only one there. She told me that the roots of the fir trees connect. They touch each other, they intertwine under the earth, and therefore the firs are in constant communication, electrically charged communication. So if there is a fungus or some strange illness coming, one can alert the entire forest to strengthen itself, to prepare to fight it off. There was evidence of broken trunks and branches scattered everywhere, jagged edges and ripped bark. Things that I saw specifically when I was walking through the forest, paying very close attention to sight. I no longer saw trees and branches and dirt and grass. I saw order and patterns and lines. I saw random examples of chaos, rough contrasted with smooth, jagged with sharp, shadows and light. And then I came upon a young hemlock tree, growing out of the old dead stump and roots of a predecessor long dead. This is quite common in the forest, in fact, the old giving life to the new. Many things that were broken and violently destroyed, but also things that were light and gossamer, like a spider's web reflecting in the light, or a little drop of tree sap that I would never have noticed had I not actually been looking. I noticed things like the smell of cedar leaves when ground up in your hand puts me in my happy place. It's intoxicating. It's a combination of sort of woody mixed with citrus, and I carried around a little cedar leaf with me the whole time. At the end, having realized that Gary had disappeared, I discovered that he had gone and gathered up many of the leaves and berries that we had sampled and smelled during our tour and had brewed a tea out of it, basically brewing us a cup of the riches of the forest, the gifts of the forest, many of which are high in vitamin C and other nutrients. And upon tasting that tea, I felt it's hard to put into words, but it was like everything is now complete. We had our tea ceremony, we drank the forest. I was really energized. I'm guessing it's all that vitamin C in there. And I was also feeling a little bit giddy as well as really, really hungry. And fortunately, where I had parked my car, there was now a food truck serving dinner. So I was able to eat right then and there. Yeah, 3 hours, it didn't even feel like never did I feel a moment of, how long have I been out here, or wanting to look at my watch or anything like that. It was a very complete, healing, satisfying, nurturing, positive experience. Now in Japan, these guided walks begin and end with a measurement of two stress markers, blood pressure and your saliva amylase. And then the participants can compare the difference between the two numbers. Forest bathing gives us the opportunity to experience simple relaxation, to experience what it's really like when there's no need to rush or to get things done or to make good use of our time, to admonish ourselves for wasting time or for not accomplishing what it is we think we need to accomplish. In forest bathing, we are reminded to simply let the moment be what it is and let ourselves be present in that moment. Thank you so much for watching today. If you want to know more about forest bathing, I'm going to link a book that explains in detail how you can do it yourself if you happen to have a wooded area near you. And if you happen to live somewhere where you can take a guided tour, then I would highly recommend that you give forest bathing a try with a guide. So that's going to wrap it up for today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe so you won't miss my next one, because I would love to have you. And until I see you again, everyone, I wish you a wonderful day, a wonderful week. Take good care of yourselves, and I will talk to you again very, very soon. Bye, everybody.